Hello, welcome to Heart, Humanity's Heart. My name is Robyn Mills and I welcome you here today, and we're going to begin today with an acknowledgement. Over to you, Louise.
Okay, thank you, Robyn. It's a real joy and a pleasure. And I always start to acknowledge and pay the highest respects and reverence of the traditional owners, the First Nations people of the respective countries that we're on today, and depending on how far and wide this goes, and pay the highest respects coming from my heart and spirit to each one of you, and also acknowledge and pay respect for all the the ancestors that are here with us, guiding us. So thank you, Robyn.
Thank you, Louise. Let me introduce you to Louise. She's passionate. She's passionate about results-focused, experienced, and she's in diverse roles such as policy officers, career. She's an auntie, a friend, a daughter, a mentor, an activist, an educator. She's an artist, photographer, writer, author, and coach. Wow, that is just so beautiful, all the roles that you are. And she works a lot with Korean Aboriginal areas where she really makes a difference and immerses herself in that culture. I'm really excited to find out about all the roles that you do today, Louise, and welcome.
Thank you, Robyn. It's a pleasure to be here today.
You and I talked before we started, and I just wanted to push record because everything you were saying was just resonating with me, and I wanted everyone else to hear it. What led you to the work that you do?
Okay, I guess I'm a really passionate person, and I truly believe I'm driven by my values, and I believe that each one of us is actually here for some purpose, right? And my values are very much about being of service in some way, shape, or form to address inequality or injustice. And the roles that I've had to date have been around addressing social justice or looking at inequities in our system. And hence I was really driven to government roles over the last 20 years to look at changes that need to be made to improve the quality or the standards or the health outcomes or well-being, or the honouring, I guess, as I said, of our First Nations people, and how little we know. A lot of people here know about the history of what went on here, and the importance of telling the truth, no matter how horrific that is. At the same time, I am realizing that I'm just one person in this whole ripple effect, right? That each one of us has got a role to play. So as a policy officer, the last 20 years I've worked in aged care because I was passionate about making a difference. And I've now got my mum. She's in an aged care facility, extraordinary one. And they do an extraordinary work there, and their values are about family and being of absolute service. So I guess that's where I'm coming from, and that's what I'm driven. And I as a coach, and that was an interesting sort of journey that led me to getting out of my mindset, but realizing I was at a juncture in my life. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and it took me on a journey to find out, how did that end up in my body? I've got to take responsibility and be accountable for what is in my body, what is in my environment, and I'm the one that does that, but I cannot do it alone. And I realized a lot of that was my mindset and looking elsewhere for the solutions to problems, and that's what took me down that coaching path. But I put all those other roles in there because, you know what, you're an interviewer, you're a writer, you're an author, you're a mother, you're an auntie, you're all these things too. Like, I can't stand the fact that we go, what are you? Like, I'm a human. I think I'm a human. Maybe I'm an alien. I've got my Batwoman top on today. I might be Batwoman for the day. So you know what I mean? Like, What are we? I don't know. I'm still figuring that one out.
And we're multifaceted and we change over time. Like even I'm finding from the interviews that someone will say something and it just changes a layer of me. So I love change. Like when I was young, I was terrified of change. You'd hold on to a job that was toxic or a relationship that was toxic, or, you'd think that this was the only thing. And if you don't hold on to it, you're going to lose it. And then the whole world will change. You'll have failed or, something. Now I go, bring on change. I just love it because change means growth. It means you're closer to your heart center. You're letting go of things that you don't resonate with and you're picking up things you do. I love that. But I feel like in the Aboriginal culture, change has been harder to come by because of the constraints that have been there. Would that be true?
Yeah, I guess yeah, I mean, I can't begin. I'm not an expert, I have to say. Okay, so I'm not an expert, and all I do in that space is hold space and be as much of an advocate, because of, first of all, to know that there's been massacres that have happened across this land, right? Like one of the first people that shared the most horrific truth with me, I can't even repeat it to you. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
And that actually took me down a path to go, oh my God. And I have to say, my God, I hand over to God, because I kind of go, what else has been buried and not shared?
Yeah.
And I was angry, I was livid, I was horrified, right? Horrified. Get that? Horrified. And that is the buried truth of what's actually happened here, right here. And we talk about racism, right? I don't think we understand, white privilege, all of that. Like I'm a firstborn of migrant parents, right? I experienced racism and it killed me, right? And I'm going, oh my God, to experience that every day and not know anything about the truth of what really happened here. It's not that long ago. It lives in the memory. It's trauma. It re-traumatizes. At the same time as that, I revere, because it's from the elders that I have the privilege to meet, and my friends that are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, that I have drawn the most enormous strength from, Robyn. I can't tell you, I could not have gone through some of the stuff that have happened in my life that I have said in a chapter of a book, Dance in the Fire of Life, right? I will take with me to my grave. Right? I'm not willing to share some stuff with anybody, right? So that gives you some sense of what I've gone through. Actually, I have actually shared it with my parents. I lied. And my dad, who's passed on and lives in spirit and died on Anzac Day last year, right in the middle of all of this.
Yeah.
And so when I'm there, I work in part-time Department of Education and Training, extraordinary environment, and in an Aboriginal branch, in career outcomes, that we're there to create relationships. That's the other thing that I've learned. It's about, through relationships and through developing an understanding and sharing stories, the truth of what's happened here, what went on, all the medicine. The most resilient human beings I've ever met on the planet are actually, I would have to say, First Nations people overall, right? And also the most giving, nurturing human beings as well, with the most wicked sense of humour. And it's about change. It is about actually looking at, Aboriginal perspectives in the curriculum. It's about doing things differently, the experiential way, It's about living your truth, the values of First Nations people is actually the values that we're being called for under COVID, whatever this is. I have no idea what this is, but it's about actually kindness and humility and generosity, care and protection of each other and the environment. Family being much more than that nuclear family. It's the community. It's embracing, whose family these days. I have no idea. I'm a single person, right? Yes, I've got two brothers. They've got their families, right? I've got my mother in a family. Guess what? My family now is part of Frondiza, the broader aged care facility, and all the people there are actually my family because that's my mum's family now. They're the ones that see her more than what I see her. I've moved to Doncaster from Williamstown to be closer to my mother, 7 minutes away, so I can see her more often. You know what? And I'm not going to do the Zoom thing either. It will be a touch and feel, because as humans, if we don't get that touch and feel and that hug, whatever, and that connection, you know what? We can just kiss our humanity away. Kiss it away. You know what? I don't want to live in a world where I can't reach out one day and give you a hug, Robyn. And guess what? And beautiful Stacey Hewish, who put together the 1,000 Ripple Effects project. Bless her, Stacey. Bless you. And what she stands for the young people that don't have parents, the foster kids, right? Like the kids that are calling out, and there's a lot of kids that are in families where the parents are absent, literally. They get that computer, and that is the default parent, whatever. Anyway, I'm going off topic, but I guess I'm hoping that you see where I'm coming from. That I'm fueled by that. Any form of injustice and inhumanity.
Now, I take the moment that you've given us to say how much I really acknowledge Stacey and the fact that she's allowed 1,000 people to come together to speak to young people and to inspire. Like, that's a gift that we couldn't get in any other way, and I'm certainly grateful for that.
Yes.
And I do want to say a couple of things jumped out at me when you were speaking, and one was, like, I went to school in the early 60s, so it came to my mind when you were speaking that I learned a song called Pokarakariana, a New Zealand, a Maori song, and yet I didn't learn anything about Aboriginal culture or Aboriginal speaking or Aboriginal singing, and yet I learned a song in another culture, a Maori culture. I can't even understand as an adult how on earth that happened, that an Indigenous culture in one country was held in high enough esteem to sing their song, and yet we didn't acknowledge that in our own. I've had some of the most beautiful experiences in some Aboriginal work with Aboriginal people that I've done in the past. If I say something that isn't quite respectful or right, would you please stop me and correct it? Because I always want to use the right language. And I know I said welcome to country and you said to me, no, it's an acknowledgement. They're the sorts of things I want to know because I want to stay respectful. So a smoking ceremony, the first time I had a smoking ceremony, it was the most amazing experience. And that night I had the deepest dream, and the word Hamalanga came to me. I still don't know what it means. I haven't found anyone to tell me, but I had to say this word to a meeting of Aboriginal people. I had to keep saying this word, and it was just the most, I woke up in a sweat, but I woke up cleansed. It was an incredible experience. And I thank my friend Robyn Nelson for that, for taking me on many smoking ceremonies and many journeys along the way. And it was just amazing. I wish that we'd had some of that knowledge and some of that learning when we were children, so that we got to know the First Peoples and we got to understand, even though we may not have wanted to hear the horrendous things that happened, but as little children, maybe we wanted to learn the beauty and the wisdom and the knowledge in the culture that we've embedded ourselves in.
That's so true, and there's so much extraordinary medicine and wisdom, and it has obviously survived, and it's thriving and it's flourishing, and you can, immerse yourself during NAIDOC week. You have to, I guess, you've got to want to do the work, right? You can't expect anybody else to do it for you. You've got to go out of your comfort zone and actually go visit a community, right? Like I'm close to, I know quite a number of the elders, and got a good friend, Karen Millwood, out at Mullumbullen Indigenous Gathering Place in Ringwood. My parents used to go there during Harmony Day, NAIDOC week, and they just got so much joy. That was closer to their own culture in terms of the Greek culture than any other place, and so welcoming, and so much of learning, just sitting down and just sharing relationships and listening, actually listening more than speaking. I think that was the other thing that I've learned around, and I've been blessed with my friend Alison and Mark and some extraordinary other people across the planet that have taught me about DADIRRI, really deep listening with your heart, and also, just going back to some fundamental basics around the relationships and what's important in relationships, and also how we need to listen and respect our elders. I learned more about that. And I said this to Mum and Dad from my Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander friends, and I have learnt from my own Greek culture, and there is extraordinary wisdom. When I talk about medicine, I'm talking about natural medicine and spirituality. If you believe nothing, if you don't believe in a God or I don't care what your religion is or whatever, you've got to believe in Earth, Mother, and nature, and how miraculous this place is, and that's we can learn all of that. There's so much education that we're all on this journey together, and we've just got to be humble enough and be courageous to step outside of comfort zone and just reach out and just go to a place and be uncomfortable, actually, because and a lot of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people in their own country have felt like they don't belong here. I mean, that's insane. There's been more recognition and respect around other people coming from other cultures and countries, like what you just said, First Nation. Isn't that insane? Like, seriously, think about that. And the oldest living culture and people on the planet too. And we can't celebrate that, right? And we can't change the date. I won't go into all that. But, seriously, like, I just think, it's time we stepped up as human beings, seriously.
It is time we stepped up as human beings, and to think that the wisdom and the knowledge that is held in our Aboriginal culture, in the spoken word that's come down for 60 million years, we can be privy to that. We can know and live that knowledge if we're open to learning what it is. And indeed, even our modern medicines come from willow bark, or they come from aspirin from willow bark. They come from the tree and the nature, and someone will go, oh yeah, the Aboriginal people have used that plant for centuries, and someone will finally investigate it. After saying no, don't do that, then finally someone investigates it and makes millions of dollars of money on drugs that have been made from that.
That's right. That's right. And trauma, when I think about the trauma release processes that I've been involved in, are actually kind of driven by First Nations people and people that I know have been doing some extraordinary work. And like there was a process that my friend Alison does through Bouverie, where it's basically, it was practiced in a particular, I think in a number of tribes, and it was to literally, when I say release, you scream at the top of your lungs and you let loose on a weekly basis through a process. I won't go into it, but it's through the Mother Earth, right? And so you allow that stress and build up of rage and whatever's going on for you to let it out, and you share the stories. And one of my spiritual teachers, Jer Lyons, and he would be, you know, I guess First Nations in terms of the Celtic tradition, pre-Celtic, sort of going right back. He's been able to trace that. And my beautiful friend Mark Elliott introduced me to Jer, and Jer comes out from Ireland, and he practices a particular process. You sit in a circle and you share what's happening for you, and you're guided. You ask spirit, and you ask and pay respects to the First Nations people and the spirits that are coming through to release stuff, right? And it's actually, believe it or not, this stuff works. And there's other traditions in the Hawaiian tradition, and I'm not going to pronounce this properly, I'm sorry, Ho'oponopono, a particular invocation. That's it, thank you.
I love
never pronounce that.
I'm sorry.
You know about it. There you go.
I love you.
Yeah,
I'm
love
sorry.
you. I'm sorry.
What is it?
Please forgive me.
I love you.
Please forgive me. Thank you. But I think there's my friend Mark showed me a different. There's a film out at the moment. I think it's on Netflix. I'm not sure what the film is, but it's actually honouring the true way to do it, right? So that's the other thing. There's a lot of these processes come from First Nations traditions and medicine, and then get somehow sifted and watered down and disjointed, disconnected, and we dishonour the true source. Yeah,
I'd like to see that. How could we find that? We'd look up Ho'oponopono.
It's on Netflix. Mark shared it with me. It's I think I've forgotten the name of it. It's a recent movie that's on at the moment. But apparently in that movie it actually honours the true way of actually doing this particular process. But it's also about who does it and the integrity of the person, etc. And you have to ask for permission. You cannot just do some of this stuff, right? Like one of the I guess really powerful wisdom that I came across was from Toltec wisdom through Don Miguel Ruiz. He's Mexican Toltec. Yeah, and he's written the 4 agreements and the 5 agreements. Now, that was a game changer for me when I read that book, right? And that was, again, oral history brought down, was never documented. And then he decided, you know what? The world needs to hear this. And here's do you know the 5 agreements around don't ever take anything personally, even if there's a gun at your head. It's not about you, it's about the person. Don't ever make any assumptions about anything. So always go to the source. Be impeccable with your words. So whatever you say you're going to do or think or whatever, do it, right, to the utmost and carry it through. Always do everything to your best, because everything's an extension. Everything that we do, from the dusting and the way I clean and the way I speak and everything, is an extension of your spirit and your integrity. And finally, I thought this was amazing. Even if you think you're hearing the truth or you're speaking the truth, always leave some room for doubt. Because you know what? If there's evidence later on that refutes everything that we understand this world to be, if the aliens do exist, which I believe they probably do, and I hope to goodness that they do, then we've got to be open to that. That's the open mind, but it comes from open heart, right?
Right. Yes, it does.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, I really love him. I've listened to his, I used to, when we had cassettes in the car and CDs, I used to listen when I was driving to and from the city to work. I'd listen to these things and they layer you. I want to ask you, Louise, if you were towards the end of your life and you looked back, What would your heart say is your proudest moment?
Wow, there's a question. Oh wow. that I lived my life fully, and I came from a place of love, and service, and yeah, and humility, I guess. Uh, sorry, I'm just really, it's been a really tough week.
That's
I've
beautiful.
just got this candle burning at the moment to honour a beautiful young man, Darren Brown. We celebrated his life yesterday, and he cared. He had a beautiful heart, loved animals and children and people, and was a fun-loving soul. Yeah, and I guess to have fun too. I
Yeah.
don't know. There's not one defining moment, but yeah. Sorry.
Oh, that was beautiful, Louise. Thank you. Who helped shape the person that you have become?
Everyone, every experience, both good and bad and ugly, and everyone. I'm really blessed. All my parents, my brothers, my teachers, my mentors, my ex-partners.
My ex. Thank you, ex-partners.
Sorry.
You don't you don't have to name them.
No, they know who they are. Sorry.
That's so beautiful.
Stacey, everyone, there's, all my experiences, seriously, my breast cancer, when I had that diagnosis, that was amazing. That was a gift. When I was thrown in the bus and fractured my neck and was about to get, neck fusion and spine fusion and God knows fusion, and decided, nah, I'm not going to do that, and decided to wear a brace, and that was an extraordinary experience. And I guess my coaching and the mindset and the investment in my personal development, my God, have I invested in personal development 101, right? And Jer Lyons and Blair Singer and extraordinary, and Anthony Robbins, and the extraordinary people that I've reached out, because I wanted to be the best person I could be, to bring forth the tools and resources to help others, right? So that's basically it. And when you ask for things like that, you better be prepared for what you're going to get, right? So, and Stacey, she's extraordinary, and look at you and look at what you're doing. You're freaking extraordinary. Like, I'm in awe of people. And I say that, and my friend Alex is amazing. She's gorgeous, and Marion, and the strangers. I've met the most amazing people, just because, like, I met Marion, a gorgeous friend. She's one of the authors, at the airport one day. I nearly missed my plane because, I was trying to weigh my luggage and made some random outward comment. And then my other friend Alex, she's gorgeous artist and spiritual kind of coach, teacher, and everything else. And I met her during the flag raising ceremony at NAIDOC Week at Hobson's Bay. Like she's one of the authors. Everything. So there's no one defining moment, but thank you for the question, because it just obviously brought up so much emotion for me. And being emotional, we're human. Let's, embrace all those emotions. Yeah.
I love
Thank
your
you.
emotions. I love it that you connect so quickly to your heart. That is really beautiful. Louise, we're coming to the end of the interview, and I know we could talk for hours, but I'm wondering if there's something your heart wants to say that I haven't asked you.
Oh, wow. Good question. My heart. Look, I guess, given that this is part of the thousand ripple effect, I want to speak to the child within each of us and the young person, and that person where that person had dreams or had dared to have aspirations, and trust that, you know, they're there still, and just reach out and ask for help, because there are some amazing, even if it's a stranger, you'd be amazed at the people that you can meet as strangers, and they're there to help you, and trust that you're here for a special reason, right? We're here, we're all miraculous beings. So I want this message to speak to any child or young person that's listening to this, because that's the intended nature of the Thousand Ripple Effect project that Stacey put out together. And that resonated with me, because I always talk about the ripple effect of things and what we put out, and we're all connected. And I just want every child and every young person, and the child and young person, and every adult and elder to know that it's never too late to embrace whatever it is that's calling for you and calling out to you to do. Yeah. And I thank you for being who you are, Robyn. And I just want to, you know, reach out and give you a virtual hug. And yeah, received, and just, yeah. And I also, yeah, big shout out to all the other coaches out there, and change makers, and the weird ones and the crazy ones. And that goes for Marilou and Heather, and they all know who they are, just in case others are watching. I haven't mentioned them, and the UN people too, Peace Federation. Anyway, there's a lot of extraordinary people, and I'm very blessed to have had those relationships, and hopefully they'll continue into infinity and beyond, as I say. So
thank you, Louise. Thank you so much. I feel,
thank you.
You know what? After speaking with you today, I feel connected. I feel joyous, and I feel blessed that I've had some small experiences in Aboriginal culture that I will carry with me for the rest of my life. Thanks to Robyn Nelson. Thank you, Robyn. And I just feel really blessed to have spoken with you today. So thank you. I'm Dr. Robyn Mills. And I hope today's interview with Louise has energised, expanded and engaged your heart in some way. And until we meet again, may your heart beat to the rhythm of humanity's heart.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
You guys.